So yeah, I mean, I guess I'm gonna go back to the beginning because the lessons that I've learned, and still learning, by the way, it's actually cliche to say, but organizing is obviously hard, harder than people expect, and it's easy to get agitated, get angry, get upset, and want to do something about it. But when you're talking about organizing for the long haul, that's a different conversation because we all know and we all seen and witnessed how people will join the movement and then they'll drop right out because they realize how difficult it is to continue this fight and this struggle. So it's really about asking yourselves, what are you willing to sacrifice to continue this work? And that's one of the biggest takeaways I learned from organizing this union is that I had to sacrifice my own health, my own well-being, and even my time away from my own family. You know, just to do the work, you have to sacrifice something. And that's what I've learned, is that if you're sacrificing something, you're doing it on behalf of the greater good. And when I lost my job 5 years ago at Amazon, I was the whistleblower on behalf of the greater good of the entire Amazon network. If I didn't speak out about COVID-19, just imagine how many millions of Amazon workers around the world could have possibly been infected. So when they fired me, and as I mentioned yesterday, I cost the company $4 billion. But yeah, clap it up for that. And if you ask me will I do it again, I would say hell yeah. Because me being the sacrificial lamb, and I hate to use those terms, but yeah, the sacrificial lamb of being fired publicly, having Jeff Bezos sign off on a smear campaign about me, ironically also saying to make me the face of the whole unionizing efforts against Amazon, by him saying that, and by them doing what they've done, and by me taking the stance, I was able to protect everybody going forward. The next day, they had to hand deliver PPE to all the warehouses in America and beyond. So understanding the power of what we are as working class people, everybody, anybody, no matter what industry you work in or what field of movement you're in, anybody could have done exactly what I've done. And all I did was speak truth to power. And that's what we have to do as organizers. We have to continue speaking truth to power. When we're talking about Palestine, we're speaking truth to power. When we're talking about Trump, we're speaking truth to power. So this is what we have to continue to do as organizers, and that's definitely one of the biggest takeaways I learned from organizing the Amazon Labor Union.
Thank you. You mentioned that it's quite hard to organize people, so I want to ask you, how do you deal with workers who are, on one hand, afraid or they don't trust the union? Because I saw the documentary and there was a kind of a campaign saying that you should not join the union because they take your money and then they want to sit on a really comfortable position and they will rise above you. Or people maybe that don't think they need to organize and need a union. So maybe you can explain a little bit, how did you deal with people like that, all these different people and opinions?
Simple, it's education. We spent the majority of our campaign, which lasted over 300 days, 11 months. The first portion of that, you could say 3 to 4 months of just straight educating the workers. Because I can tell you now in America, nobody really knows what a union is. Our union density in America in the private sector is less than 6%. In the public sector is less than 10%. So even though all the amazing things you may see on social media, all the strikes you may see, the rallies and protests with unions, it's a very small world. So when we're talking about unions and the education of unions, that's what's missing from our curricula in school. We weren't taught this in school at all. I had no idea what a labor union was until I was fired. And I actually was a part of a union even prior to Amazon, but I wasn't an active member. So the education piece is very important when you're talking about trying to convince people to join the union, especially a union with no history. So what we did was kind of like play this game called Catch a Pokemon, where the union busters, who by the way are millionaires, they would fly these union busters in, and you're going to see this on the film tonight. And these union busters will hold captive audiences, something just like this, where you'll come into work, and for 1 hour every day, you have to attend this mandatory captive audiences. They put my members in over 3,000 of them throughout the 11-month time span. So even your first day on the job, before you even know your job assignment, you're being ushered into a union busting propaganda class. So we had to tell the workers exactly what to expect, and that the person that's leading this class is a millionaire that is being paid anywhere between $3,000 to $10,000 a day. So what we did as a union organizer, we looked up and researched all of the union busters that Amazon hired for our building, and we exposed them. Once again, going back to what I said previously, speaking truth to power, we met them right where they're at. We shared and printed out thousands of copies of all of their salaries, and actually we made a little game out of it. We put the most wanted sign with reward $10,000, and we put their face on it, and we put it all over the break rooms and bathrooms. Exactly what Amazon was doing against us, we were doing it back. Table toppers, leaflets, pamphlets, you name it, we did it, to share that education about what these union busters are doing and what their objective is to divide the workers. Using racial rhetoric, they call me a thug, they call me nothing but a Black Lives Matter protester. They said, yeah, the union dues, which by the way, my members do not pay union dues, by the way, but they were calculating union dues and fabricating it, saying that I was going to take all the money and buy myself a Lamborghini. Not knowing that I'm a BMW type of guy, but anyway, they should have known that because I had 3 of them working for the company, which is, yeah, they didn't know who I was. But getting back into what the tactics were with Amazon, they spend roughly about $15 to $20 million in a fiscal year on trying to stop these efforts. Those millions of dollars are divided into union busters, the propaganda of what they plaster in the building. Have y'all seen the show Squid Games? They literally turned my warehouse into that. Everywhere you look, everywhere you turn, even when you went to the bathroom stall, there was union propaganda saying vote no for the ALU. That's how hard they went. And you can't imagine how frustrating that is to a worker who's just trying to come there and make a check. So honestly, it played the reverse psychology, and it actually played in our favor, because the education, once workers, because they believe that we're all silly and stupid, once workers realize and put 2 and 2 together that why is this $1 trillion company who claims that this grassroots unions have no power, why are they spending all of this money trying to stop them when all that we're doing is handing out leaflets, talking to workers, being there every day, connecting with people, building relationships, giving out food, giving out clothing items during the winter time, giving out backpacks during the beginning of the school year for single parents. We were doing all of these charity things, and what we all know as socialism, we were doing all of this in front of their faces every single day for over 300 days. So when it came down to what side you want to be on, action speaks louder than words. And Amazon was just blowing smoke, and we knew that we had a real relationship and connection with our workers. So that's what it really comes down to, building personal relationships. You could be as radicalized as you want to be, but the average person that you talk to is not going to be. And it's not their fault. You can't fault them for not being informed, because they're not wrong, they're just misinformed.
Because the situation in the an Amazon working place is a bit different than in other working places, and you said also there's a little bit more organization grade, I don't know how to say it in English, in the public sector. I also know there's a big AFL, there's a union federation in the United States. Didn't they try before to enter the Amazon workplace and try to organize there? And how did they look at the Amazon labor union? Because they were like kind of an independent union. Did you have trouble with that? How did they react, the big union federation? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the AFL-CIO is a coalition of unions, about 60 unions that make up that coalition. Every major union in our country did not believe in us. They wanted nothing to do with us. We didn't get any support from politicians. We didn't get any support from every labor expert that you could think of wrote us off. They called us a circus. They called us a clown show. They said that Amazon is unorganizable. And yes, the major unions are part of the AFL-CIO coalition. They have attempted to organize Amazon for over a decade and failed. Never heard of them. Never heard of the campaigns. They never even got off the ground. The closest thing we had was Bessemer, Alabama. But people don't remember the Teamsters have been trying to organize Amazon for decades. Unorganizable. Or they were just doing it wrong. So, of course, when we successfully organized Amazon as a grassroots independent union, we embarrassed them. We had $2.50 in our account when we won. They spent over $50 million in the last 10 years trying to organize Amazon and failed. We did it in less than $100,000. So, when you're talking about who's really the experts, you know who that is? The workers. Yeah. So I don't give a damn what part of union you are. If you don't work at Amazon, you don't know what to do. And the problem was that some of these unions that pay their organizers 6 figures to go down to these Amazon warehouses to talk to people who are living in homeless shelters, who are half living on government subsidiaries, food stamps, you name it. That's not a real relationship. So for us, the Amazon Labor Union, who are actual Amazon workers, for us it was an easier conversation because we are the workers. We know what we go through. We live it every day. There was no faking it. There was no third party, like Amazon tried to say that we were a third party, when we were literally clocked in, on the clock, in the room with them. So these relationships go a lot deeper. So the AFL, CIO, these other unions in America, they were embarrassed. They finally came along with the bandwagon after we won. After that, after we won the next day, we got about $500,000 donations from these other unions. But the money was not what we really needed. We need the militancy of these other unions. These unions have power. They've been established for over 100 years in our country. So for the Amazon Labor Union to come along and this black man to lead this union campaign, I was not only a threat to Amazon, I was also a threat to them. The representation matters. My union doesn't look like any other union. Most of my union executive board are women of color. You won't see that on any other union. Most of my executive board, actually all of my executive board, are all rank and file members. You won't see that in any other union. And if you can only think of how many black international presidents from America do you know besides Chris Smalls? That's a powerful conversation that we need to have. But it's not just in America, it's all over the world. So the labor movement, once again, also needs to be held accountable, because a lot of us have been excluded for a very long time. And even though things are changing for the better, we still have to push our labor unions to do better and do more. And that's exactly what you're seeing with the Amazon Labor Union. We are reforming, not only started a resurgence of the labor movement, but we're reforming how labor looks. Obviously, I don't look like your average union president. But that's for a reason. I want to represent the people where I come from. We come from the New York greater area. My people come from black and brown communities, low impoverished. A lot of them live in the projects. So for me to walk in the room, I'm representing them, and that's exactly what I told them the day I went to the White House. Bernie Sanders told me I had to take off certain things to go in. Believe it or not. And I said, you know what, then I ain't going. I laughed at them in his face. I said, ha. But they came around and let me in anyway. But that was the biggest thing they could do. Before you clap, right? Let me get to the real quick. So that was the biggest mistake they ever did in their lives. Letting me into the White House. Somebody who don't really, I never would have fathomed I would have been in there. But when I got in there, and I sat right next to Joe Biden, he sat right here on the neck, on the left of me. Kamala Harris sitting in front of me. The Secretary of Labor sitting on the other side. There were 6 other unions in the building, but in the Oval Office, I'm sorry. And they were all focused on me. The president sat next to me for about 30 minutes. I don't know what the hell he was talking about. I'm so serious. And this was 3 years ago. So imagine how I was sitting there and I'm like, so what are we gonna do about Jeff Bezos? Kamala Harris took a pamphlet and slid it over to me. And I'm opening it up and I'm flipping through and I'm like, what the fuck is this? I don't give a fuck about none of this shit. Then they hand me a Joe Biden chocolate. I chucked that easy. And they let me keep my name tag. Right? And then I left. And when I walked out of that White House, I felt even more empty than when I walked in. I said, we're in trouble. If these people are running the country. So I knew 3 years ago that this is going to be a long fight. And now with the Trump administration, it just got even longer. But now it's time for all of us to make this our fight. 1 out of every 4 Americans are going to work at Amazon in the next few years. The same thing will happen here. You already see how they're pushing on building more warehouses in the Netherlands. They are trying to take over the world. Y'all remember that cartoon Pinky and the Brain? Yeah. That's Jeff Bezos. So we got to shut shit down. And I continue on. Yeah.
We have a little bit more time, so I also want to ask you, I heard that Trump is trying to pretend that he has, that he's for the workers, and it's showing, okay, I'm pushing these tariffs so that we can protect the workers in the United States. And actually in the Netherlands we have Wilders, I don't know if you know a little bit about him, and he always talks about Henk and Ingrid, which are like regular working class names of the Dutch people. And and he, of course, he never talks about Mohammed and Fatima, which are also working class in the Netherlands. But the thing is, how can we try to push through that, so show them that he's not part of the working class, because there are working class people looking up to Wilders and thinking that he's going to save them. Did you, maybe you can help us out how to break that through?
Easy, ignore it. I mean, Trump is going to be Trump. He's not the system. He's a pawn in the system that was never built for us. The real brains behind it is the billionaire, President Elon Musk. That's what we need to really focus on. The tech bros. These billionaires, they own politics. Look where Israel, right? Billionaires and dark money control politics. And we could talk about Trump all day and night. Let the news do that. Let the propaganda do that. What we have to do is organize. Staten Island, for example, where I organized the union. It's the only conservative borough out of the 5 in New York City. So you think I went to Trump? Staten Island is actually AKA Trump Island. There's Trump flags everywhere around my warehouse, everywhere. Segregated. One side of the island is for rich and bougie. The other side is poor, low, impoverished. Everybody that lives on the left side of the island works at Amazon. Amazon is their largest employer. They employ 60% of Staten Island. 8,300 people work in my building. So you think I could go in my warehouse and talk Trump rhetoric? Can't do that. I don't know what their politics are or what their ideology is, but I could take a guess. So what I did and what we have to do is don't focus on the pawns, no matter on the left or on the right, because it's a workers' thing. It's a class struggle. And the focus is Jeff Bezos, who's making $13 billion a day, who makes way too much damn money for us workers to make him that rich and not get our fair share. So that's what brought people together. I didn't give a damn they were left or right. Just like I told Lindsey Graham, if y'all saw that clip, which y'all see tonight in the movie. It's not a left or right thing, it's a workers thing. And the workers are the ones that make corporations operate. So when you're talking about politics, sure, Trump is a bad man, whatever. The tariffs fired, got 30, 40,000 steel workers in Canada fired overnight. So we got unions in America, like the UAW, who support the tariffs. That's the real conversation as well. Labor unions need to stop putting their money into these politicians and lobbying on both sides of the aisle. You have to pick a side. Billionaires like Jeff Bezos, who going to continue to exploit the class, the working class people, that's our real enemy. That's our real enemy. These billionaires are hoarding the planet, and their only objective is to build their bunkers, use up all of the resources, and then go into hiding or try to fly to space. Next time they go to space, we got to make it a one-way ticket. Did y'all see how he's sending up his girlfriend? Yeah. This is where we at. And then they go up there and they say, we're all in this together. Yeah. Bullshit. I don't know who they talking to. But this is insane to watch. We're in some crazy times right now. But these billionaires are going to kill us all if we don't stop them. And we're at a point right now where there's a point of no return. So the question is, what side are you on?
Thank you. I think we can start having questions from the room. I think there's a lot of questions, and I will just see if we take in questions first, or I'll let Chris answer directly. I think it's also if you are active in a labor union or whatever, please introduce yourself a little bit, and if you want to ask the question, because I think it's we want to learn a lot from Chris, and we want also to learn from each other. So if you want to say something, just raise your hand. Wait, ooh, many people. And I will write down some what you look like. Yeah, and we have a mic here so that everybody can hear you. White shirt, back. Yes, so you in the front, go first. Yeah.
First of all, thanks. It was great to hear from you. My name is Will. I'm American, but I'm living here, and I'm also a tech worker. And speaking of tech bros, Amazon is obviously a giant tech company. And I'm really curious to know from you, like, what, when you were organizing the union, like, what collaboration, what solidarity did maybe your typical tech worker, your software developer, product manager, data analyst, like, what solidarity did those workers show? And,
Yes.
Yeah, if you're also a tech worker and you want to change some fucked up working conditions where you work, talk to me. Thanks.
Let's have two other questions and then we'll come back to you first. There was somebody with a white shirt somewhere here, yes? And then afterwards the person in the back.
Well, thank you for being here today. Really great and inspiring. My name is Yuko. I'm an FNV member, the biggest union in this country. And yeah, I've heard you, of course, use the word working class, class people, etc. And I was wondering what it was like for you to at first start learning about Marx or socialism and what you knew and what you know now and how you look at that actually.
Yes, thank you. One more person and then I'll get back to you. No?
Wait, what?
Okay.
One second.
Two at a time.
Two at a time. I'm a
Yeah,
stoner. I'm
okay.
a stoner. I spoke too
Okay.
much. All right. Yeah, I mean, the tech bros I'm talking about, obviously not you guys. You guys are good. There was some solidarity, of course. As tech workers for Amazon, they have a direct relationship to upper management. So, who you think leaked that memo the day I was fired? It was a tech person who said, "Oh shit, I'm in this meeting. This shit fucked up," and they leaked the memo to the Times about what Jeff Bezos had just did, signing off on that smear campaign about me. So there is solidarity on the chain moving up. Sometimes you get a little murky because obviously as a tech worker, you're being paid 3 times the amount as that warehouse worker. And you have a lot more to lose. They have more shareholders that are on the tech side than the warehouse workers. A lot of them are based in Seattle, where the corporation is, the headquarters. So if they do anything outside of these lines, they're automatically going to get terminated. And that has happened. There has been workers, Marin Costa and Emily Cunning, who were 2 tech women. And there's a documentary, I think, on Netflix you can watch, where they spoke out about the conditions during COVID. They were actually talking about what we did in Staten Island when we let the walkout 5 years ago. And they spoke out on behalf of us, and Amazon fired them. But what they did, they sent a memo, an email out to all of the workers because they had access to that through their department. So they did some really good solidarity. It cost them their jobs, but ultimately they won in court. They got a settlement. Yeah, and they're now still continual climate activists because they started in climate justice. So, you know, they really took the initiative forward and connected with us. We've done several panels and discussions and things like that over the years. So that's solidarity. Tech workers can absolutely support the workers underneath us and the workers in the warehouse as well, utilizing whatever access you have to upper management to get our message and our voices up there. Second question, I'm stoned, I'm sorry.
Can you repeat it?
Yeah. So you used some classic socialist words.
Oh.
Working class, so yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, I ain't know shit. And I say that with confidence because that's a lot of people. I wasn't an organizer 5 years ago. I wasn't trying to organize a union. I was just living my life. Going to the clubs, partying. I got hired at Amazon at 25 years old. I was a young man. So obviously, you know, I'm 36 now. And 5 years ago, I still wasn't trying to be an organizer, but I was a really, really good supervisor, an assistant manager. A lot of people loved and respect me. I always have respect for people, no matter who you are, because I know where I came from. I was raised in a single parent home, a single black woman, my mom. My father's been incarcerated my whole life. He's still incarcerated. So for me, being raised by a woman, growing up in the streets, becoming a rapper, and all of these things helped me become the person who I am. And when I worked at Amazon, that carried over into my assistant manager role. People underneath me love to work for my team. That's why my team always thrived in whatever building I worked in. I worked in 3 different buildings at Amazon. So I was very popular even before they fired me. Saying all of that, I didn't know nothing about Marxism or Leninism. I knew fairly a little bit about communism, but obviously the communism that they teach us in America is a stigma, right? So I didn't know the real until I took a trip to Cuba, right? Until I took a trip over here. And now, yeah, I mean, obviously because of the work that I've been doing, I've been, invited to do these Marxism festivals over the last few years, and I've been learning. I'm a sponge now. I've been reading up on Karl Marx. I actually visited the house, the Manifesto house, when I went to Belgium last year. So I'm learning every day. I'm learning something new, and I apply that to the work that I'm doing. And it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. It's night and day. Once you learn the difference, you never turn back. You let the revolution do its thing.
Yes.